Now, the fifth group is the protozoans. These are heterotrophs and they live as either predators or parasites. What is the difference between predators and parasites? So, predators will actually go after the prey and they will engulf it, whereas parasites are those which will within a host and derive all nutrition from it. So the protozoans here are heterotrophs, which means they obviously depend on some other organisms for their food. This can be either as predators or parasites. They are primitive relatives of animals, and they are again divided into four major groups of protozoans. So you can have the amoeboid protozoans, flagellated protozoans, ciliated protozoans, and sporozoans. Let us say I write Kingdom Protista. How many groups do we have here? Rhizophytes. Next one, what did we see?
Dinoflagellates,
Euglenoids.
lime mold.
Now, in protozoans, you again have four. So, under protozoans, you have the amoeboid protozoans, you have the flagellated protozoans, then you have the ciliated protozoans, and you have the sporozoans. So, this is the whole, what do you say, the kingdom classification of Kingdom Protista. First one is amoeboid protozoans. These live in freshwater, marine water, or even in some moist soil. They capture their food by putting out pseudopodia, which is also false feet. Pseudo means false, as in the case of amoeba. So, an example of amoeboid protozoan is amoeba. Now, the marine forms have silica shells on their surface. Most and some of them, that is the ant amoeba species, are parasites. So, a regular amoeba that you see may not be parasitic, but you have another one called as ant amoeba, which are parasites. The ant amoeba species are parasites. How do they capture their food? So they will just throw out some false feet kind of structures. So over here, this could be like a pseudopodia. So if the food is around, what will it do? It will throw out this pseudopodia. If this is the food, it will go up, it will capture it like this, and it will engulf the food. So that is how it captures its prey or its food even. That is about the amoeboid protozoan. Remember the last one also here, ant amoeba is parasitic. Next is the flagellated protozoans. So these are going to be either free living or they are going to live as parasites. They have flagella, therefore they are called as flagellated protozoans. What do we mean by this having flagella? It means that these can move very easily. They can swim basically. So flagella aids in movement. The parasitic forms causes diseases such as the sleeping sickness, which is basically called as example of this would be trypanosoma. Now trypanosoma is the protozoan, and the way it spreads is through this fly, which is called as the say fly. Just like how malaria spreads through a vector, it spreads through mosquitoes. Over here, trypanosoma spreads through a fly called as the say fly, and it will cause a disease called as sleeping sickness. Now, what do you see in this particular diagram here? All of these are the red blood cells or the RBCs, inside which you can see the parasite. You can see the trypanosoma over here, the purple ones that are stained. You can see their long flagella as well over here. So these are flagellated protozoans. Next one is the ciliated protozoan. Now these are aquatic. They actively move due to the presence of thousands of cilia. Cilia is nothing but hair-like structures. So I'll just write hair-like over here. Hair-like structures. So if you look at this, can you see both the diagrams here? There's this entire organism is covered in hair. This is the cilia. Now, because of this, they can move actively. They have a cavity or also called as a gullet that opens to the outside of the cell surface. Can you see the gullet here and even over here? This is also called as the oral groove or the vestibulum. Oral groove or vestibulum. This is a cavity or it's like an opening here. Now the movement of the cilia will cause the water to get in over here. Now, when the water gets in, whatever food particles are going to be there, smaller organism, anything like that, that will also get into the gullet. So that is how this particular organism will get its food, because here it cannot throw out pseudopodia or something like that. So how is it going to acquire its food? This is through the movement of the cilia, which causes the water laden with food to enter the gullet. Okay, an example is paramecium. What you see here is a paramecium. And the last one is sporozoans. Now, this group, it includes many organisms, diverse organisms that have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. Example for this would be Plasmodium. Here it is the malarial parasite that we're talking about, which causes malaria. So you have the mosquito which will harbor this particular parasite, Plasmodium. So if that mosquito goes and bites another healthy person, it will inject the Plasmodium into their bloodstream. Now, sporozoans have a life cycle. Right? It's going to be born and then it's going to grow, mature, going to have different stages in the life cycle till it dies. Now, in one of these stages, it's going to have a spore-like stage, infectious spore-like stage. Any organism which has this infectious spore-like stage will come under sporozoans. So one example to remember is Plasmodium here, which causes malaria. So here, if you are asked the causative agent of malaria, you have to say Plasmodium. But if you are asked the vector or how it spreads, then you have to say it is through the mosquito. But the causative agent is Plasmodium. So here what you see, the other things are all the red blood cells. This is the blood sample. And what you can see here, this is the Plasmodium, the one which is here, moon shaped.